This is the Bear Country Outdoors Barely a Podcast. I'm your host, Doug Joyce, and with me is James Forsland and Kris Cantrell. Thanks for joining.
Here we are. We're doing another podcast, and it's going to be our third episode of Season 3. How about that, guys?
Is
Three
it season
seasons
3?
already. Yeah.
Wow.
3 seasons of the podcast.
You're
That's
shitting me.
insane.
Yeah.
I thought we were on season 2.
Wow. Shows how much Kris pays attention.
Thank you to our sponsor, Bourbon and Coors Light. AKA.
Without you, this podcast would be a dud.
Yeah.
It's been a grand old time, and tonight we're going to start off by talking about a little bit of what's going on. We had some big news come up from Sportsmen's Alliance.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think we'll let Kris talk about that a little bit. We're also going to talk about some hunting stories from Africa and just some miscellaneous stuff that's been going on. Also, there's some commission things I think that we were talking about earlier that we're going to touch base on as well.
Mm-hmm. There's some stuff that's kind of boiling under the surface now that could have some big implications for us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
there's a lot going on this year.
Yeah, well, why don't you start us out with what's going on with Sportsmen Alliance? What happened this week?
So, as most of you guys listening know, and ladies listening, hopefully. Maybe? Do we have lady listeners?
Yeah, totally some ladies listening.
Definitely listening.
Yes. Thanks,
Not
ladies.
watching, obviously, but listening.
Allegedly.
We have been working with Sportsmen's Alliance for over 2 years now. I think our first fundraiser, that was 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
2 years ago now.
yeah,
We better hold another one of those. I'm sure people are going, what the hell is going on?
Yeah,
know,
we will soon.
we are going to do that, and we have some even bigger news coming out for Sportsmen's Alliance, which we will be probably telling you, I would say probably next month, if I had to guess.
Mm-hmm.
Which kind of ties in with this lawsuit. So they just filed a lawsuit. I'd been speaking with Sportsmen's Alliance for some time. I get really ornery and cranky about certain things, not a lot, but when they took our spring bear and didn't listen to anybody, like guys are going and telling their stories and the biologists are like, yeah, no, healthy bear populations, and it's like, no. So that really irritated me and pissed me off, and so that kind of started this whole Sportsmen's Alliance thing
Down the long road that we've been on.
Yeah, so that I had
Pissing
to
away state's money.
Yeah, I had to come back and tell James and Doug, like, hey, we're doing a fundraiser for Sportsmen's Alliance, and we're going to do this stuff. And they're like, cool, let's do it. And that was I think it was over 2 years ago. And then ever since then, we've all just been full tilt fighting for Washington. So I had an idea of what I wanted to sue the state for.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I'm not an attorney. And, well, fortunately and unfortunately.
Well, take us back a little bit. They had a huge list of different things that they wanted to try and sue the state on. It was just whether or not what they wanted to go after, right?
Yeah, so
What was going to stick?
Yeah.
So the bad part is, if those of you who don't know, we had an incredibly successful lawsuit against Lorna Smith. We won, and then look at that. James is wearing the I Sued Lorna shirt from Sportsmen's Alliance
From our fundraiser.
Thank you, Sportsmen's Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, we don't get paid for this. We're not paid by Sportsmen's Alliance. We're not on the payroll.
We don't get paid by anybody.
We don't get paid by anybody. We get paid by us. Yeah. This one on my Costco credit card,
Yeah,
by the
right.
way. So it's just it's true. It's true. It's very true. But it's a really good company. I think we all believe in them. And so I had a bunch of ideas where I'm like, hey, this is where they went wrong, and I want to sue them for this and this and this and this and this and this and this. And you have that conversation, and they're like, hey, Kris, do you remember the Lorna lawsuit? I said, yeah. So what happened was we fought, we won. Bob Ferguson, who is now our governor, which I'm sure he listens to the podcast, and he knows that I do not like him. I think he's a bad guy, and the reason I say this, and it's based on facts. This is not based on feelings. Bob Ferguson has wasted an incredible amount of time and money and resources to go back, appeal that decision for the sheer point of wasting Sportsmen's Alliance money, which pisses me off to no end.
Yeah.
There's no way he could have won that case.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone is not aware of how our Supreme Court is elected in Washington State, they've never been elected, right? It's strategically they step down at the last minute, and then a new judge gets appointed. So they're very, very left leaning. There's no Republican judges on the Supreme Court in Washington State. So we're a blue state. Everything is done blue. Sometimes I feel like it's cheating, but technically it's legal. So we're not going to get into that because my face is getting red because I'm getting irritated. But so Bob Ferguson appealed the decision, which technically, legally, he has the right to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the only reason he did it was to waste Sportsman's Alliance money.
Right.
Because he's a child with a credit card with no limit.
Yep.
And he can do whatever he wants.
Yep. There's no boundary.
They've got that black credit card.
Yeah.
Yep.
So he's like,
called the state taxpayer.
Yep.
And guess what? We went back to court. Sportsman's Alliance allowed me to come to the Supreme Court and see all this go down. And this is why I say these things, because I saw it firsthand. And guess what? They lost again. So they wasted our taxpayer money. Bob Ferguson did. Him personally wasted our money. We kicked the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Lorna got a slap on the wrist. Nothing happened.
Yeah.
But Sportsman's Alliance knows when they can win.
Mm-hmm.
I had a bunch of poor ideas. Again, I'm not an attorney. I'm not going to say I'm a gifted or smart man, but they put up with my nonsense, and I threw enough nonsense at the wall where they could take little bits and pieces and parts. And I spoke with them, and they said, "Kris, I think we could win this one." And I said, "That's not very sexy.
Yeah.
It's not a sexy lawsuit.
It's not a sexy lawsuit.
It's not a sexy lawsuit. It's a paperwork lawsuit.
Yeah.
But it's a lawsuit that we can win. And I honestly do feel like
they got to chip away at them.
Yeah, and we need to make,
which sucks. But
we need to make lawsuits that
Mm-hmm.
count. Mm-hmm. Because Lorna was just a slap on the wrist, and that was a lot of money for Sportsman's Alliance. And if guys
put some tallies on the board for wins.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
We did 100%.
Yeah,
we need some W's. But now we need W's that count. And I think they need to hurt a little bit for the state, because I think the state needs to realize, like, hey, we just can't steal from sportsmen and not have any repercussions. So now it's a financial lawsuit to where there will be a loss of funds from the state of Washington, from us, right? Because I can't imagine us not winning this lawsuit.
Right.
It's not sexy. It's not sleek. It's not fancy.
It's for public records, right?
Yeah, it was. They requested stuff like it was 500
years and years and years.
500 days overdue, and they got 0.01% of the records.
Yeah.
So they're obviously blacklisting them because.
Well, so this is like kind of like a shot back at repealing this. Like, oh, we're gonna come at you with a low blow here.
Well,
because
I mean,
you kind of just.
Well, it's not a low blow. We can't sue them for stuff that we don't have the information on.
Right.
It's like
true.
It's like, hey, I want to fix your car. What kind of car do you have? I'll get that information to you later.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, I got to have that information to know how to fix your car. And the state of Washington goes, you know what?
Yeah, I mean they've got to be hiding something
100%
in all of that, and it all has to deal with implications and processes with the spring bear removal.
Yeah,
and so
and I'm assuming they're trying to get some money out of it too, right? Because
no, this is millions of dollars.
Yeah,
yeah,
because you got to pay for this stuff.
Yeah, so the point is now, this lawsuit isn't just for a W; it's for money.
It's for money.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like we got to get some money back.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like a retaliation thing after we just pissed away a bunch of money trying to sue Lorna for something that was actually meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
So like the lawsuits that I wanted, that I had in mind, I wanted to sue for the money back to sportsmen that put in for spring bear, right? And they go, well, technically, even though they took spring bear hunting away, they left it on the, left it on the books. Like, so when you look on your account online and you see, oh, I got 20 elk points and 20 deer points, you still have those spring bear points. So they're not dumb. They're very, very smart, right? The problem is they're bad people, right? They're smart, bad people. So they're stealing our money. They're taking away our stuff, but they're doing it in a way to where technically we couldn't sue them for it, right? Mm-hmm. And we would lose.
The paper trail is difficult.
Yeah, so they do everything. It's like someone's stealing your car, but you can't go get it back because like they're a left-handed bricklayer or something, and that's not a crime. Like literally, they're finding loopholes like that. So Sportsmen's Alliance comes up with this lawsuit, not to just keep beating this thing to death, that they very much are in the right. They very much can get some sort of financial compensation to restock the coffers and keep these lawsuits going on.
Right.
Because they've already wasted a lot of money in attorney fees.
Yeah, we had to go back and redo this whole warning.
They got to reload.
Yeah,
so to speak.
It costs money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it costs money, and
that's what we're getting to. Is it takes a lot of dollars.
It takes a lot of dollars, guys. And I got Coors Light money. Like that's not enough. So we're gonna need everyone's help. We got, like I said, just wait a month. We have some big news coming out. We've been working on. Bear Country has been working on some stuff for a very long time. It's been a shit ton of work.
So you're saying this is just the tip of the iceberg from Sportsmen's Alliance with what they've come out with?
We have some good stuff in the works. Sportsmen's Alliance is here. They got the gloves are off. We're here to fight.
Mm-hmm. We're gonna be looking for a 1-2 punch here, real quick.
And I like that they're in it for the long haul too. Like we have multiple lawsuits in the holster, ready to go, which is good for Washington sportsmen because we just got the crap kicked out of us. Mm-hmm. Honestly, we have an illegal commission. If you guys are curious about how illegal our commission is, there's a bunch of different resources. James and I were on Randy Newberg's podcast. He's much more eloquent than me. He talked about the nitty gritty of what they're supposed to be doing and why they're not. They're just not doing it.
Mm-hmm. He used big words.
They're multiple syllables. They're not me.
Judicial duty or something like that.
Judiciarial duty.
These guys.
As Randy,
someone had to butcher that.
As Randy says, judiciarial duties.
Randy's a smart man.
Well, speaking of Randy, we're gonna be doing a podcast with him here in a couple days.
Oh yeah. Yeah, let's talk about that real quick.
So, being great friends with Randy as we are, we knew that he was going to be in Washington, so we're going to hook up and
for the Sportsman Show.
Yeah,
we will be at the Sportsman Show in the Loophole booth doing a podcast with Randy Newberg.
Yeah, in Puyallup, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep, in Puyallup.
Which is a drive from here.
By the time you hear this, we will have already done that podcast.
Already have done it.
Yeah,
and you'll be looking forward to
So come on down and say hi.
Probably next.
Yeah.
Come say hi. Just don't interrupt us while we're in the middle of the podcast. Just wave to us.
Come say hi, except for it will already have happened.
Bring some Coors Lights and crayons for me, guys.
We can say that now. Come say hi.
Yeah, come say hi.
We'll have already done this.
Ah, man.
Speaking of, obviously we're big Randy fans, right? Mm-hmm. He does he's I think a giver. I think that's what I would like.
100%, dude. The guy gives his time like no one else.
There's a lot of stuff he could do to make way more money, and he doesn't.
He donates a lot of his time.
God, if I was in Randy's position, I don't think I'd be that good a guy. I'm going to be completely honest. I'd be like, let's get some of that money.
Yeah. Well, didn't he say he was an accountant?
Yeah.
Well, he was.
Normally, their busy times are about right now.
He's partially retired.
Yeah,
he's doing a little bit. Like he held
takes
some
care
clients.
of some big trusts.
CPAs. This is like their grind time.
I think people underestimate how smart that guy is. Like,
to be an accountant?
No,
I'm just saying to be an accountant, you gotta be pretty fucking smart.
Well, he's I deal with a lot of larger accounts, like our buddy Matt Russell turned me on to a guy who got poached, and now I don't get to use him anymore. But moving through accountants and seeing who works with the bigger folks, and Randy's one of those bigger kind of guys, and I'm just like, Randy swings a big stick.
Yeah, you
got to watch out for old Randy Newberg. He may have a sweet demeanor, but you better watch out. You don't mess around. Randy's got some weight behind him.
Yep,
but
sure.
It's at the Loophole booth,
mm-hmm.
which we are incredibly thankful and lucky to be sponsored by them versus Vortex.
Which they are sponsoring the show, right?
Yeah. Leupold's a shit.
Yeah, the Sportsman show is presented by Leupold.
Leupold's a shit. They're probably not going to use that as a motto. Chris Cantrell said Leupold's a shit, but they are. They're a great
Let's
company.
trademark that.
They really are.
They really are a good company. They're good people.
If you want to just do a comparison, go buy a top-of-the-line Vortex scope and a top-of-the-line Leupold scope and hold them in one hand and one in the other hand.
Right.
And you'll be like, wow, this one's a lot lighter. Oh, the glass seems a little better, too.
It's,
and it's got better features.
It's so good. So they just came out with the Gen 2, which I'm looking forward to getting my hands on. So we run the VX6s mostly, right? Mm-hmm. So the VX6...
Yeah, we have them on our new builds, which those that build series will be coming out here shortly.
Speaking of Doug, has been doing some fancy stuff on the build series. I'm really looking forward to that coming out.
We're getting to the nitty gritty.
Yeah,
We're almost done, folks.
We're almost there.
It's the fine details. We just watched actually the third part.
Yeah, and we caught something that none of us caught until tonight.
Yeah,
which is good.
Yeah,
because that would be pretty hilarious.
But Doug's doing a good job. We're getting it done. We appreciate your patience. It's going to be good. But we ran the VX6s on there. The Gen 2s. The cap on them,
that's
the turret.
That's what I saw. That I was like, wow, that's pretty innovative. Like
it's pretty slick. I've never seen a scope like that ever. Mm-hmm. I mean, can you guys think
how cool is that though?
Do tell, Chris.
So they have like this. So to back up, you go to the range, you're dialing your hunting rifle. If you have any sort of long range setup, you have an elevated turret on the top for your elevation, right? So we don't even talk about the windage turret because I hold for wind most of the time. I don't ever dial my wind. I know I'm going to get some shit about that, but when you go to the range and you have a zero lock turret, meaning like when you dial to a certain point, like on the Leupolds, a button pops out, and that's your zero, right? So when you go to dial your elevation, meaning when you turn the turret and it says up, it's physically moving the crosshairs down, right? Because that's your bullet's going to start to drop. When you try and turn it the other way, it won't go. If it goes past that zero lock at all, if you push a zero lock in and it goes past the zero lock, maybe you get 1, 2, 3 minutes of dial and that's it, right?
Right.
So then you need to pull out your tiny little Allen wrench and undo your turret and then pull it off. And it usually has a slot, so you pull out your dime or your quarter or your penny or whatever, and you're dialing that at the range to try and get everything figured out. Well, now they have that top turret has this little like lever on the side, right, that can release and go from horizontal to vertical, and you can just pull your turret off. It's toolless, which is amazing.
Game changer.
Oh, dude, toolless?
Yeah, just quick, easy.
Little Allens suck.
I hate little Allen
I
wrenches.
hate them.
Hate 'em.
With a passion.
Hate them.
I hate little hardware in general.
Yeah, you feel like you're gonna break it when you
I
start.
got big ass sausage fingers over here, and I got to work with tiny little shit. I mean, come on.
It's like a pencil tip. You're like, sticking in there. Like,
Yeah, come on.
yeah.
And that,
Good job, Leupold.
yeah, and I don't even have that big of hands, but I can't see shit from here to here. Everything's blurry. If I don't have glasses on, how the hell am I going to see how to put this little it's like half the size of a piece of pencil lead in a hole that I can't see.
Yeah.
It's at the range.
How would you know that you got a twist tie on your finger?
It's my daughter made me a ring. It's cute. I had a bracelet earlier too. It was all pink and rainbow, said Dad. I had a pink bracelet. I think it was made out of a pipe cleaner.
You're like, I could use this to clean out my breech on my muzzleloader.
I was on a real estate appointment with that earlier today. Totally forgot.
What?
Oh, a pipe cleaner bracelet that said Dad on it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was like, shit. Oh,
Having
well.
kids.
Yeah.
Yep, I've had my fair share of strange jewelry pieces made for me.
Yeah. At least she doesn't paint my fingernails or anything. Like, that's a little too far for me.
I've always drawn
you
the
got
line
to draw
with
the line at something.
Yep.
I could do the tea parties, but you start painting fingernails. Yeah. Can't do it.
Yeah, so Leupold scope, super excited about that. Going to get our hands on some. I'm excited to be in the booth because they're going to have all that stuff down there.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, after you listen to this, you can go down to the Sportsman Show, which will be over by the time you hear this.
Go on the internet.
That's very helpful.
Check it out at
Yeah.
loophole.com.
Yeah. Do we have a code?
For Loophole?
Yeah.
No.
I'll tell you what.
We have
I don't
our
think
own
any.
code.
I don't think
Like, we
any.
have
I
our-
don't think anybody has codes for Loophole.
I'll tell you what. We'll talk.
I think we talked about.
We'll
that.
talk with a guy. I'm going to talk with a guy. All
If
right.
anyone had it, it would be Randy
Oh, I'm going to talk to Randy.
because he's the big swinging stick there
Dude,
for Loophole.
He's you know.
Him and Jim Shockey.
You're gonna have to step in.
Yep. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Jim's
We'll
running around. Jim's running around being an underwear model. I'm going to have to step up,
running around in his Speedo down in Mexico with his
dude.
new girlfriend.
dude. Good for
Writing a book.
Freaking, you know what? Good for Jim. That guy's is like, you know, he gets a lot of hate about that, and that's because he's living a freaking dream, man.
He's
You know.
living the life.
He went through hell. And
Yeah, minus his smoking hot wife dying because she was smoking hot. By the way, dude, I'm a big fan.
Sweetheart too.
Yeah, such a nice lady.
Yeah.
I'd never got to meet her. I've met Jim plenty of times, but like, what a sweet lady. Dude, when your wife kicks off and like you get a girlfriend, who gives a shit? That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like,
I don't know why people are so upset about it.
people are just pieces of shit in general, I think. You know?
Just like-
I think people just want to hate in general.
That's exactly
That's just
what it
what
is.
everyone wants to
People
do.
Just get a
it's just
problem.
part of the thing of the internets.
oh
Yeah.
yeah. I know.
That's the internet.
when you
Yeah.
when you send me the ornery comments from Facebook, Doug, I love that. Like, so Doug runs our YouTube, and he's putting up videos, and then we get James is doing the Instagrams, so I see some of those. And then we need to bring back the blocked and deleted too. By the way, I love your blocked and deleted videos.
Oh yeah, I did one a couple weeks ago,
yeah,
but
I saw that. Yeah,
I just have to be in the right mood for it because
Yeah.
most of the time I'm just like delete, block.
yeah.
You know,
It's got to fire you up.
yeah. When it gets me,
Some of
fired
them
up,
are just so dumb.
It's like what?
The funny thing is like I sent you guys that one, and I think I posted that one about like the reel with all the different dinners or food things that you had made
Oh yeah,
with bear meat.
yeah.
I think it's like almost like the next day. I think I posted a short
okay.
of that
Nice.
after that comment. Why would you kill a bear?
Yeah, I get asked that all the time. I put someone in their place the other day. It was like, there's no reason to kill a bear, and then I sent them like 100 reasons to kill a bear. And it's like I usually don't take the time out of my day, but I'm
Right.
like, I'm sitting on the toilet. Well, you know what I think we should do? I think we should do some hunting stories because we've been talking about problems
Yeah.
and lawsuits and
We're
all
not trying
kinds
to,
of.
yeah,
'cause
we're not
we
trying to
kinda-
drag the guys down.
Yeah, because we did talk
And
about that a
gals.
lot in the second episode.
I know Kris has quite a few Africa stories.
I do.
Some of them have not been told,
No,
and I would like to hear some more of those Africa stories.
I got a bunch of them. I'm trying.
Tell me about that weird cat thing that you shot. It was like kind of looked like a miniature leopard.
I don't think Kris ever told the story or said anything about how he shot like the Grand Slam of cats.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
tell me
why don't
about
you
that.
tell us a little bit
So
about
what was that
cats
last one?
that-
The bigger one, because you shot a couple cats on that trip,
Oh,
right?
they're all the biggest, James. Let's be honest here. You know.
So Kris is like, he sends us all these pictures, and we're like, oh, this is cool. He shot a cat. Oh, there's another cat, and then another cat, and we're like, what the hell? And
There's
then,
a couple different ones.
and then
that
next
were
thing he's like,
smaller.
oh yeah, my guide was like, this never happens. Like
Yeah.
this is a once in a lifetime thing where you shoot all of these cats and
Let's hear about the
Go.
cat,
So-
cat Grand Slam, right? You've officially done
Let's crack a beer and talk about it, boys.
the small cat Grand Slam of
Basically,
Africa.
yeah. So like when you go to Africa, they have like
I thought you were gonna say the zoo.
when you go to the zoo.
When you go to the zoo,
aisle 3, row 10.
bring a 22.
It has to be
Suppressed,
silenced.
okay?
It has to be silenced. Come to Cantrell Outdoors. We'll hook you up.
You're guaranteed your slam at the zoo.
We're having some fun on this one tonight. I tell you what.
So there's the Big 5, right? Everyone knows the Big 5.
Yeah, everyone knows a big fight.
Everyone knows the Big 5. So there's also a tiny 10, right? where you can shoot these tiny like a blue diker and stuff. Like these things are itty bitty tiny antelope, right? So when we go there, the first place that we go to is not the guy that we hired who is our main PH, right? His name's Shaw, and he owns Rosedale Safaris, right? So that's the name of the company, and he has this giant, big, beautiful spread, huge lodge, and all these places. Amazing, freaking incredible. I can't wait for the movie to come out and all the extra stuff. It's gonna blow your guys' mind. It's so freaking nice. It's so nice. But we didn't go there first. We didn't go to Rosedale first.
Yeah.
So you have to go to certain places for certain animals, right?
So you guys went straight for like hippo and
so the
croc first, right?
The first thing was hippo.
Okay.
So the guy that we went with, God, I can't remember his name.
You guys made quick work of your guys'.
Dude, we hammered down. Like we hunted. I'm not gonna lie. Like my dad, 71 years old, and we hammered down on this trip. I mean, we slept a couple hours a night, and we hunted 18 hours a day for like a week straight.
Just sounds so fun,
dude. We hammered.
Yeah.
I mean, and some nights we hunted more than that because we would hunt all day and then we would night hunt. It wasn't like, oh, we sat at the lodge and had cocktails.
Yeah.
You know, like, don't get me wrong, I love me a cocktail, but like we went there to do business.
Yeah.
Especially, this is the best part about Africa. You go there with like, it's like a la carte, right? You're like, oh, I'm hungry. I'm gonna go to the restaurant. What do you want to eat? Everything. I want to eat everything. You're like, okay.
How big is your checkbook?
Yeah. So let's go back to the kitchen, you know, and just hammer down.
Yeah.
So we get there, and he's like, hey, do you guys want to go shoot birds? And so we go shoot some birds. It was super fun. I missed like 99.9% of the birds I'm shooting at. It was super fun.
You don't realize how bad with a shotgun you are if you don't do it all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Did I tell that story of riding in the back of the truck? I don't remember. Shooting birds?
Let's just stay on track for the cats.
So this is the beginning of the cat hunt.
Okay.
So he goes, we're going to go
you
shoot
lead the way.
Guinea fowl. So there's this huge, massive agricultural area with all these pivots, right? So people who don't know who pivots are, just Google them. But it's
everywhere.
It's thousands and thousands of acres of these pivots, right? And there's roads that go all in between here. So this guy, the farmer says, hey, please come in and shoot the guinea fowl off of my pivots because all the crops that are growing, the guinea fowl, I mean, by the thousands of guinea fowl are eating all his crops, right? So yeah.
And what is a guinea fowl? It's like a chicken?
Yeah, it's kind of like a fat little chicken. Kind of, you know, it's like half turkey looking, half chicken.
Can you eat them?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're probably pretty good.
Yeah. So we snatch up every guinea fowl we shot.
Yeah.
So we go there. We're going to the back of the truck. And so the guy goes, so you're going to notice they've been hunted before. And I'm like, oh, boy, here we go. He goes, so you're riding in the back of the truck on the safari seat. Shotgun in hand. I'm on the left. PH is in the middle with a box of shells. My dad's on the right. So we're 3 wide.
Yeah.
And he goes, just make sure the shotguns are pointed out this way. I said, okay. And if for you not watching, I'm doing this with my hands like out, like at a 45, both sides. I said, okay.
You got this side, you got this side.
And that was our safety. And he's like, that was our safety talk. Don't swing in the middle, okay. But we're above the cab. We're riding in the bed of the truck, and there's a seat, right, that we're sitting on.
Yeah.
And so he goes, when we see them and we start to get close, we're going to speed up.
So they can get within range before
because
they fly out a distance.
They've been shot at so much that they just fly off, right? So I'm like, yeah, no problem, right? All right. So I got
sounds like Atari,
dude,
yeah,
bro. So imagine I'm in the back of the truck. I'm sitting on the seat, guy in the middle, my dad on the right. I'm like, I got this old
like a real turkey shoot.
Yeah, I got this shotgun which fits me terribly.
John Wayne strapped on the front with a lasso, trying to.
Yeah. So I can't. The comb is too high on the shotgun, and I have a giant fat face, right? So, and I've been eating and drinking like it's South Africa, right? So I'm a solid 200.
Yeah.
I'm 285 pounds. And I'm trying to get my face down on the shotgun, and I can't get my eye down on the bead far enough because I got to like kind of cock my head.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So but what are you gonna do, right?
Right.
So you can't mount your gun properly.
No, and it's not my shotgun, obviously.
Yeah.
He's just like, hey, we'll shoot birds. I'm like, yeah, let's go shoot birds. So I'm like trying to shoot and I'm not a great shotgun shot. Let's back this up. I'm not that great with a shotgun anyways, right? You know, like my shotgun in high school, I shot 1 million birds with because I was in high school and I had young eyes and I was spry and I did it all the time. Well, fast forward, now we're in the back of the truck and I'm just, I ran this pump shotgun like my life depended on it. I mean, you would have thought it was an auto. I mean, just boom, 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 and I'm just cocking this thing. I don't even know if I'm pointing at anything. I got my finger on the trigger, and I'm just running that pump, dude. Boom, 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 boom.
Like, worst shot ever.
Every once in a while, a bird would fall down.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you're sitting in the back, and he'd be like, all right, there's birds. And he would tap on the top of the roof.
Yeah.
And the guy driving, our tracker,
Who just hammer down.
dude, putting that 176 horsepower Toyota engine to the flow, and I mean we're going, dude,
Driving right to the middle of the flock.
and this is an ag road, dude. It's like not even a good 2-track
Yeah,
dirt
it's
road.
probably just like
It's just kicking the shit out of us, dude.
Yeah.
And I'm worried that I got a 71-year-old
He's
dad
gonna go flying out of the
getting
back
the
of the truck.
shit kicked out of him.
Your dad's
and he's
probably
doing
out
the
of
same. Halftime, the shotgun's not even on his shoulder. He's just pulling the trigger. Boom, 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 boom. Just going off, There's no birds flying. And I'm just like, all right, this is what we're doing. Boxes and boxes and boxes of shells, dude.
That sounds so fun.
Dude, it was so much fun. I didn't even give a shit. I'm just pulling the trigger. I'm just, there weren't even birds. Boom, 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 So we get to the end. We've shot 474,000 boxes of shells. And finally this guy's like, all right, this is enough of this shit. These guys can't shoot anything. So we take a picture with the birds we shot, right? And we're going to turn around. And so we go down to the end of this pivot to turn around. And the guy goes, da, 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 and he taps on the top of the truck. He goes, stop. And I'm like, what? And he points in the butt. So it's the middle of the day. It's hot. It's like lunchtime, like noon, right? And he's like, stop. And I'm looking around. I'm like, what? And he's like, oh, there's a African wildcat in the bush. And I'm like, I don't know what that is.
You're like, is that a leopard? Is it?
Well, the thing is, these guys, all the PHs there that we dealt with, I don't know. I would say in general, dude, they're hilarious.
How many did you hunt with?
So
So to speak.
So Shaw is our main
was
PH.
the main one, yeah.
He owns the company that I went with, right? But now we're at, God, what was his name? Benny? No, it wasn't Benny. Anyways, the guy that owns the ranch that we're staying at, or the lodge, right? Owns another company, right? Mm-hmm. And then we went to another one who owned another company. Like, dude, there was like 5 or 6 at least, right?
And they're all buddies, and they know each other.
They kind of know each other, and they all
Yeah.
work. The nice thing is, they all work together? Like, it's so weird.
It's good for business.
Yeah, it's good for business. Like, it's
Yeah.
not like the U.S. hunting industry
Yeah.
and the U.S. Like, our business in general, like, I'm sure that there's other hunting companies that hate our guts just because.
I'm sure.
Just because we're tall and handsome and successful and just stunning and just good teeth and our feet don't stink and, I jump really high.
They just see another American down there. Like, oh, bring them over to my place. Let's
Yeah.
shoot whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're shooting all sorts of shit. Dude, they're hilarious. So you don't know if they're messing with you
Yeah.
because they're very funny.
Yeah.
South Africans have some of the best,
Senses of humor.
dude, great senses of humor.
Yeah.
Incredible senses of humor. Did I tell the elevator story? I don't remember if I told it on the.
I don't know
if I should tell that one.
Okay.
We'll skip past that.
Continue on.
So I don't know if he's messing with me. I'm in the back of the truck. I have a shotgun, and he's like, African wildcat. And I'm like, oh yeah, African wildcat.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, like, oh, we're going on a snipe hunt, and no, he's like, no, shoot it. It's super rare, and I'm like, oh, like, yeah.
You hear rare and you're like, oh, okay.
Like, how rare? Like, is it exportable? Like, can I mount it and export it? That's all I want to know. And he's like, yeah, shoot. And now he's getting like animated. He's like, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I'm looking. The problem is these guys could see a freaking piece of dust on a flea from like 300 yards. Their eyesight's incredible. They can pick out anything anywhere. So we're in a brown field and there's brown grass and then all of a sudden there's like this camouflage spotted brown cat, which I see, and it hops up. And to me, it looks like the farm cat.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, ha, 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 you know, like, oh, it's a farm cat, it's a house cat, barn cat. It's a barn cat.
It's someone's barn cat.
It's a barn cat. And he's like, shoot it. And I'm like, I look at him like, are you serious? And now it's hopping away. And now I can look at his face. He's losing his shit.
Yeah, because he's like,
mad.
what is
He's
wrong
about
with
to
you?
Yeah.
Take the gun away
He's
from
like,
you.
and his face is getting ready. He's like, shoot. I'm like, okay. And I remember I like slowly shoulder the gun. Here we go. Boom. And I touch off, and this cat just eats shit, dude. Just ass over tea kettle.
So you got the
And I
the
shoot.
farmer's barn cat.
And then I'm waiting for the guy to be like, oh my God, what are you doing,
What
dude?
have you done?
Yeah, you just shot Tinkerbell, you know? So he's elated. He's like, oh my God, good. You can't shoot birds, but damn, you could shoot cats, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay. So we hop off and we go over there and we get this, and it's like the size of a house cat.
Yeah.
And he goes, you have no idea what you've done. And I'm like, shot the farmer's cat, you know, like I'm probably in trouble. And he goes, we've never shot an African wildcat in the day. We always shoot them at night,
Yeah.
you know, like in the spotlight. Because I've never shot one in the day. This guy's like, he's older than me, like, and he's been doing it his whole life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit, like that. I mean, I'm just like, oh, that's cool, you know, I've never
Yeah.
shot one. So we go back and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you shot this in the day, and you know, and I'm like, yeah, I shot a house cat.
But isn't it funny how different we think?
Oh, dude.
Just because we've kind of just related them to as pets.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And then it's like, oh, that's taboo.
Yeah.
Because it's
Dude, these guys
like a pet.
These guys are jacked up.
Yeah. In Africa, they're probably like, whatever, dude. This is just another animal.
Yeah, super jacked up. So he's
Yeah.
like, and the guy goes, well, you want to go hunting at night? And I'm like, do I want to go hunting at night? Yeah.
Sweet. So you go predator hunting?
Dude, it is the funnest thing you could do in South Africa. It's the funnest thing you can do. So same thing. You sit in a safari seat in the back, and your PH is there, right? And he's got a spotlight, and he can swing a spotlight, and say the spotlight goes out 200-300 yards, and he can make a swath from left to right in about 3 seconds, and he could tell you every single eyeball that he saw and what it is. It's the most amazing thing. It's witchcraft, 100% witchcraft.
Yeah.
These guys are, I don't know what they did. They sold their soul to the devil, but
They've
they're
been doing it since they were kids, probably.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
They can tell you what animal it is just by looking at the eyeballs.
Yeah. But in a split second, like it's super dark out.
And there's a lot of different species of animals in general in Africa.
Dude, dozens where we're hunting,
Yeah.
you know?
Like way more than North America.
So we're out night hunting, and so again, sky's the limit there. You know, like, and don't get me wrong, people are like, oh, he's out shooting endangered, and I'm not. There's nothing endangered there, right? Like they tell you, like if you were hunting in an area where there's any sort of endangered species, like they would let you know, like there was none anywhere, so we could just. I mean, you go hog wild if you want, but so we go out, and he'd be like, oh, that's a good such and such or this and that, right? And so we go out, and he goes, and they lose their shit, and they're like, oh man, that's a civet. I'm like, cool.
What? And now explain what a civet is.
So there was the African wild cat that I shot, right? And then I have a caracal over. The only cat that I ever shot in South Africa was a caracal, and it looks like
It's like a mountain lion bobcat.
like a baby mountain lion. Like
Yeah.
it's small. It looks like a full grown mountain lion, but it's small.
But it's
smaller.
got little.
It's
like,
got tufts on
bobcat,
it. Yeah,
tips.
But it's got a it's bigger, right? And so a civet. So they got a civet, caracal, African wildcat, serval. Shit, I should have Googled this before we started this all.
So the serval, what does it look like?
So the serval looks like a caracal, but like a leopard. It has spots.
Yeah, that's right. It looks like a leopard, like a miniature leopard.
Dude, it was so cool. So that was another thing. Like, so we go out. So I start, you know, and you start with the itty bitty ones, right? And I saw you get a wildcat, and then I get a civet. I shot 2 civets, which were awesome, by the way.
Nice.
because they don't even kind of look like a cat, really, because they got this big, huge, long, puffy tail, and it's almost like half squirrel, half lemur, half cat.
Is that the one that looks like kind of like a wildcat raccoon kind of looking thing?
That was was a serval? Okay, hold on. No, the genet was the small one.
And the serval is the big leopard.
I should have taken notes. Yeah, genet.
Chris has had a little too many bourbons over
You gotta
there.
get me when I'm fresh, boys. I shot friggin' 35 animals while I was there, boys. Come on. So
He shot the Grand Slam of miniature cats in Africa, ladies and gentlemen.
genet was a small one. Civet was the one that looks like half raccoon.
Okay.
And it's crazy looking. And so so that the night I go out, and they're up in these acacia trees, and they're not like foliage
so they're
out.
in the trees.
They're in the trees,
Like a raccoon would be.
yeah. And so they again spotlight real fast, and they would see the eyes, and the guy goes, "Oh, that's a," and I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know." And so you're shooting at such a distance with a regular scope and a spotlight, you cannot see a body. And so you're trying to shoot them basically between the eyes. And you have a 1937 handed down, absolutely piece of garbage 22 most of the time that you're shooting, you know. He had a modified what was it, a 17 Hornet. That thing was bad. Dude, thing was badass.
Yeah.
I killed a bunch of shit with that. That was at Shaw's place at Rosedale, so I didn't get to use it there. But the guy had a 308 as well that I shot some porcupines with. That's a whole other story. It was freaking awesome, dude. African porcupines are badass. I got some coming back and mounted. Woo.
Nice.
So, anyways, I got to shoot this. I got to shoot the civet out of the tree. Go up. They're super excited.
Yeah.
Again, I've never shot these things, so you don't know. It's like when the kid goes out and shoots his 200-inch buck for his first deer. Mm-hmm. It's like that. They're like, "Oh my god, dude, this is amazing," and I'm like, "Yeah, cool."
You're like,
They have no idea.
I got a barn cat and this raccoon cat.
Yeah, so I got a barn cat and a raccoon cat, and they know I had a caracal, right? So they're like, "You need a serval and a genet." So okay, so I go out, I shoot. Again, their acacia trees are like, say they're 10 to 15 feet tall, right? Mm-hmm. They're basically almost like big bushes, kind of with a decent trunk on them.
Right.
So I shoot. We're going down the road, and they're again this like dirt road and this ag stuff, and some of it has the patches in between because the pivots are round, right? And so the fields are square. So in the corner of each of the field is when like there's like brush and trees and crap like that grow up. So that's what you're looking in for these cats, right? Because the cats will be on the edges of these fields to catch all the crap that's in the pivots, right?
Gotcha.
So we're looking at these trees and that I see this genet. He's like, "Oh, it's a big genet," and I'm like, "Yeah, it looks tiny to me." So then now I'm shooting this 22, and they're snapshots, right? So it's like, there it is. Stop. Boom. Like that fast, right?
Yeah.
But some of these shots are like 120 yards I'm shooting with this 100-year-old 22 long rifle. And like if you miss, they lose their shit.
Yeah.
They're like, "Fuck us fucking Americans." Because they're hilarious, but they will give you shit. Dude.
Yeah.
Like, "You guys suck." Like, "I thought you owned a gun company. You can't shoot for shit."
So is this thing dialed for 100 yards?
No, dude. No. This thing's dialed. This is dialed for a pie plate at 3 yards, dude. Like, so I pull up and I shoot, and nothing happens, nothing moves, and so I'm like, so I re-rack another round, and I'm on it, and I'm just standing there, right, and it's a old crummy old bolt action 22, and it's got this big huge giant long aluminum can on it. So I get on again. He's like, "Shoot again," and so like. And I'm shooting like a dude, the oldest, crummiest 3x9 scope, like from like it's 70 years old. I'm like, it's super like, like the crosshairs, you can't see them; they're so fine, right? And so I get on there and I'm like, "Hey, shine it right on its face." I'm like, "All right." And so I get to see the two eyes, and I put it right between the two eyes, and this is like 120, 130 yards. And then just the eyes go away, and I'm like, "Well, I think I got it. I don't know."
Yeah.
And so the tracker hops out of the truck and runs out through all the thorn bush, and grabs this genet, and he comes back and he's like, "Oh, good genet," and I'm like, and I look and it's like it's got this huge giant cool tip. I'm like, those are cool. Now, mind you, I have no idea what any of these things cost. I'm just out there pulling triggers. I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
Some of these things are a little bit more expensive than I thought. But then, so now he's like,
no question.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm just out there ripping rounds. I don't give a shit. I'm living once. I live my life.
That's as much as a white rhino. So.
Yeah, I live my life a quarter mile at a time, boys.
They could charge you whatever they wanted, pretty much.
So the guy goes, "You got a caracal, right?" I go, "Yeah." He's like, "One more, and you got the slam." And I'm like, "The slam?" He's like, "Oh yeah, the cat slam." And I'm like, "No, I can't afford like a lion or leopard." He's like, "No, the little cat slam." I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds like more of my budget."
I can afford a little cat
I
slam.
can afford. And so I'm like, I'm getting all excited. So I'm going through. Okay, I shot 2 genets. I got the civet and a caracal, and I'm counting all these things up, and I'm like, again, I don't know what they cost. And then like the last one was at the serval, which looks like the leopard, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that would be cool. So he said that we saw one, and I shot at it, and so he has this old. Now I bump up to the 308.
Yeah.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that thing's a little bigger. It's like a coyote size.
Yeah, and we were getting serious because it had a thermal on it.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I'm like, now we're talking. Now we're
Now
talking.
you're speaking my language.
But there was like, it had a janky connection between the battery and the thing, so sometimes it would go out, right? So you'd pull the gun up, and they'd be screaming, "You're shoot!"
And
You're
then
like, it's
just
not even
blank.
on.
Yeah. So
Just black.
That's
so
funny.
apparently I didn't. We saw one and we didn't kill it, so we went back the next day at night, and I'm trying to remember where this one was at, but I remember you could see it was a pretty decent thermal. I don't remember what brand it was, but I remember you see this thing snaking through the grass, and it stopped, and it was a good enough thermal to where you could see, I would say like 100 yards,
Mm-hmm.
But this cat was a little bit farther in that, and it kind of blended in with the grass. And like usually on a good thermal, like the heat will really pop, and like the surrounding, will be whatever. If you got it on white hot or dark, and it kind of blended in. So I'm asking him, I'm like, hey, it's not standing out. Everything looks exactly the same. So now I'm looking for features. So you're looking for features past 100 yards on a thermal that doesn't show. It's showing you some sort of like detail, but it's very grainy detail. Mm-hmm. So you're trying to pick out a cat face in tall grass, at distance. And he's like, "It's right fucking there." And I'm like, and I'm on the gun. And now we're arguing, and you got your left eye closed, my right eye's on the cup, on the scope, and we're yelling at each other in the back of this rumbling Toyota pickup. And he's like, "It's right fucking there." I'm like, "Okay, fuck that." And he's like, "It's right fucking there." Like he's pointing in the dark, like I can see it.
Right.
Like when your buddy can't see the buck, and you're like, "It's by the fucking green tree."
Yeah.
It was like that. So I finally see this thing, and I'm like, "I think that's it." And I touch off and recoil the gun, and then you lose everything, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. You're
And
like, hopefully, I don't know.
Yeah. And so again, this poor tracker dude gets out, and he's got like a single battery, AA battery flashlight, and he goes out. It's got like half a lumen, and he comes back, and he's got this giant cat, dude. And the guard, the RPH was like, "Oh my gosh, dude! Like, do you know what you did?" I was like, "You say that every time.
You say that every time.
Every time." But I hold this
Do you
thing
know
up,
what you just did?
and I held this thing up, and I was like, "Dude, this thing is rad.
Yeah.
It's the freaking coolest kit." So that completed my mini slam, right?
Nice.
So freaking cool though. Like these cats are. I don't know how he's gonna mount them yet, but I can't wait. They're the coolest of cool, man. They're so freaking cool.
So you got
The
the
mini slam
official
of
mini
cats.
slam,
Yeah,
In Africa.
hammered down.
and then once you grow up, someday you're gonna do the big cat slam.
We'll see.
The big cat slam.
We'll see.
So what is the big cat slam? It's lion, leopard,
So
and
There's black leopard too, right?
oh, I don't think you can shoot a black leopard, can you?
Why you
Where do
give
you
me
shoot a black leopard?
Yeah, in the face, I would guess. I don't know.
Did you say how or why?
How?
No,
Where do you find a black leopard?
I don't think they have black leopards.
I
But
think you're thinking of Jungle Book with Bagara, or whatever his name is.
it's a panther in South
panther.
America, Doug.
Yeah, you watch Jungle Book too many times.
Doug and I both failed geology and geography and every other G class you could fail.
I don't think. Can you shoot a cheetah?
They're non-exportable. I think some places you can hunt them, but you can't import them in the U.S.
Okay.
If I remember correctly.
But lions you can still hunt.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's bunches
Like
of
you can
lions,
still import them and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
There's a lot of lions.
I know that there was a lot of pushback as far as importation stuff. Obviously, with the Biden administration, like they shut down a bunch of stuff because they're a bunch of pussies. But here's the thing that gets me: like all these freaking crybaby blue-haired tree huggers here say, "Oh, don't kill the animals," and they ban all these importation things. And you go to South Africa and you talk to these people. The people that I went with, they weren't poor, right? Mm-hmm. They run this, these outfits. Some of the PHs are definitely struggling, right? So when COVID happened, a bunch went out of business, right?
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah,
No
because
travel.
the U.S. is a huge part of the economy there. Mm-hmm. So when we go there and they talk about the U.S., they talk about us as the dumbest people on the planet. They go, "You guys are so stupid. Like the things that you do and the things that you say they know everything about our politics, by the way, way more than we know.
Really?
100%. Like they knew all of our senators and our governors and how everything works and the president and their policies. And it was very, very impressive.
It directly affects their income stream.
Yeah, because they're like, "Oh yeah, you guys put a ban on trophy hunting. What? That's not even a thing. What is trophy hunting?" I'm like, "That's a great question. What is a woman?" And they're like, "Exactly." And I'm like, "Yeah, exactly. Like it's stupid." Because they're like, it affects millions of Africans because that's what we do for our income stream, right? And we're poor shit. And you drive around South Africa and Africa in general, there's a lot of poor places. Like, I mean,
it's a third world country.
I'm not talking like EBT food stamps in Seattle where you get free drugs and, Jay Inslee spent $1 million per homeless person during his reign. Good job, Jay. Freaking idiot.
Yep.
But I think that a lot of people don't realize like our hunting dollars go so far over there. There's a reason, like, so not to have a little spoiler here, but Doug and I were just watching the video for our third part of the build series on our guns, and I talk about how many animals I killed with my gun this year. I didn't plan on that. I plan on a couple in South Africa, and you get over there and you see what your dollar does, and you open up your freaking checkbook, dude. It's not because like I'm a gluttonous killer. It's because like every dollar I spend over there goes 1,000 times farther than it does here in the U.S. Like $1 to someone over there is exponentially more important than it is here.
Probably like equivalent to having $100 bill for us.
Did they lose it? Like,
yeah.
So speaking of another story, our tracker. So usually when you go hunting in South Africa, you have your PH, your professional hunter. So they have to go to like college basically to be this professional hunter, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So the trackers are second to none over there. I'm talking.
They've been doing it their whole life.
Dude, it's like witchcraft, dude. I swear. It's voodoo. It's Harry Potter. It's amazing. The guy's tracking stuff through like rocks. There's no dirt. There's no soft stuff. There's no broken twigs. There's no blood. There's no nothing. He's like, it went this way. It's shot in the front right leg. I can tell. See how the 3 footsteps are heavier than the one? And I go, I don't see any fucking footsteps. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't see shit. And I'm good at this. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm pretty good at tracking. I'm looking. I'm like, dude, there's no rocks moved. There's no nothing. There's no, I'm putting my readers on. I got a flashlight out, the whole deal. Nothing. So our tracker goes,
I'm not calling Kris to help go track.
dude, I'm like, holy hell, man. Like, I don't know what these guys are looking at. Literally. I mean, he's telling me where it's shot, how it's walking. There is no blood. There's no grass. There's no soft dirt. There's no sand. There's no nothing. I mean, this ground is hard.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. So I'm with the same guy the whole time. And we go back to Shaw's family farm where he grew up. His brother runs a butcher plant on this massive acreage. I don't remember how big it is, 8,000 acres or something like that. So we're hunting around there, and we're trying to get rid of a bunch of the baboons because the baboons come in and mess with all like the cattle and the sheep, and so those little sneaky suckers, we couldn't get on them, and we're going around, and I'm talking with the tracker, and he's telling me like, oh, we were the same age, and I'm like, oh, like how long you been doing this? Like, oh, since I could walk, and a little bit of a language barrier. My Afrikaans is absolute shit.
Yeah.
But we're trying to yuck it up. And he tells me he has 5 kids. I'm like, holy shit, like good for you. And so like a huge spread. Like this guy's virile, right? Like 20 something to like 3. And I'm like, oh, is there anything I could do for you? Like I'll give you a tip or something, or like what would you like? And he's like, I would like a warthog. And I'm like, what? A young warthog. And I'm like, okay.
What?
And so I go
for you to shoot.
I didn't again, there's a language barrier, right?
Right.
Like he doesn't speak very good English. I don't speak very good Afrikaans.
Warthog. Chris is like, what the hell?
So I go, I'm like, I tap on we get to talk. I gotta pee, and hey, Shaw, like, he wants a young warthog. Like, what does that mean? He's like, oh, that's like his favorite thing to eat is warthog. And then like, obviously you get a bunch of meat out of it. And he goes, meat's really expensive. And I mean, to shoot a warthog was like $250, right? But $250 to him was like
a lot of money.
A lot of money, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, hey, should I just give him the money, or should I shoot? He goes, you'd be better if you shot a warthog. And I'm like, okay, well, like, I don't want to, like, I'm shooting a 300 PRC. So I'm like, well, I don't want to ruin anything. And he goes, take my 17 Hornet, 17 caliber. And I'm like, okay, dude. And he goes, shoot something in the ear hole. And I'm like, dude, challenge accepted, bro.
Yeah.
So again, back in the back of a moving truck, ripping down here, and he goes, usually these warthogs get into the cattle feed at the end of this road. You have the gun ready, you pick out like, I don't remember what he said, 60-pound warthog or something like that. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but you tell me which one to shoot. So we're ripping down, and he's with me. So the tracker's in the back of the truck, the PH is in the front. And we get up there, and he's like, locks them up. Trucks turn sideways, and he's like, shoot the one in the back. And I pull up, and they're ripping through, but there's like a fence, right? Yeah. So now I got to pick the fence, and I got to pick the poles, and they're running, and I'm looking, and I'm like, don't waste any meat, you son of a bitch. I'm having the self-talk as I got the gun shouldered, and I'm panning, and as soon as it clears, and I finally get down that ear, and I touch off, dude. Dude, a 17 Hornet is so fast, by the way. Yeah. And I hit this thing in the ear and killed it stone cold dead.
No kidding.
Stone cold dead, dude. And
That's
he
awesome.
lost his shit, dude. He like jumped out of the back of the truck,
ran
up there. I think he hopped the fence like in a single bound,
Yeah.
and grabbed this thing and comes dragging this pig back. And I'm like, hey, like that's your pig. And he was like so freaking happy.
Like to the moon. Just happy.
Yeah. And
you got him some meat.
And my PH was like, hey, dude, good job. Like, that's like, he's super excited. And I'm like, yeah. Like, such a small thing for us, right?
Right.
But a huge thing for
dude,
them.
A huge thing.
Yeah.
Huge thing.
Well, he just got meals for his whole family for the
it might be a small thing for us, but I bet you just the feeling of what you just did, it's priceless.
Dude, it felt it felt good for me, which is selfish to say.
Yeah.
Dude, it felt so good.
Oh yeah, dude.
It felt so freaking good. I was like, I'd pay $250 every day for that feeling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what drugs feel like, but it ain't as good as shooting a warthog in the ear for your tracker.
Because that's what he wants.
That's what he wants. Yeah. So go to South Africa.
How random is that though? Like you envision him to be like, I want a pair of Air Jordans, or I want some money or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's like, he wants something that's already there on the landscape.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
I'm like, you got it, dude. And I did, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I would have totally just given him money.
That's when you know you're in touch with reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's their reality.
Yeah, like over there, it's like, it's food.
I need to eat.
It's food and shelter.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just gave them a great deal. Nice full freezer full of meat. Well, I don't know if they have freezers, but
No,
No, they don't.
how do they preserve meat there? They
Salt.
dry it.
biltong Biltong's huge over there.
What is biltong?
So, buckle up, boys and girls. Holy shit.
Biltong.
So, biltong is like...
He's an old trapper up in
It's the meat of Africa.
Okay.
All right? So, picture this. You go out and you shoot whatever. You shoot a kudu, and you bring it back, and you're like, okay, you got all this meat, right? Africa's typically hot as shit, right? So you're like, what are you gonna do with all this meat? It's hot. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna cut it into strips, not quite jerky, thicker than jerky, right? A little thicker than jerky.
Okay.
This is where it gets interesting. And then you just hang it over like a string in the air. And just let it dry.
No salt?
In the South African. So they put seasonings on some of it, but it's basically just air-dried meat.
Okay, but do they do that with warthog?
They do it with everything, I think.
Huh.
So, like, there's, like, butcher shops, right, where you go in and buy biltong. So imagine, like, so you got all these hunks of meat just hanging, right?
Yeah.
It dries out. Open air, dude. It's like, for U.S. standards... I'm like, ugh, I'm getting diarrhea.
I mean, it's kind of similar to like what they do up in Alaska with the salmon and stuff. How they dry it.
Yeah, they're smoking some of that stuff though. Like, there's no smoke, there's no nothing, it's just that
just air dried.
It's just hanging out, and it's not like over nets, and there's not like, I don't know how they don't get flies and maggots and all sorts of stuff. But it's literally, it's the meat. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. They serve it on the airplane, for Christ's sake.
Really?
Instead of peanuts, you get a little bag of biltong. And so they'll take this long, skinny, dried piece of meat, right?
Okay.
And some will have like flavors, or maybe the salt and pepper or whatever they put on there. But then they have this machine. I swear to God, I don't know what it's called, but I'm going to call it like the Knuckle Eater 4000. and it's like a pencil sharpener.
Okay.
It's moving 6,000 RPMs, and there's some old lady with no teeth and 3 fingers, and she takes it and it sings. That's what it sounds like. And she shoves this piece of biltong. There's a little tiny hole, like say a top of like a beer can.
Okay.
Like if it was completely open, and she puts it in, it goes, and it just cuts it up into a million little tiny pieces.
Really?
And puts it in this giant bag, and everyone eats it.
Really?
Everybody. Biltong.
So it's like a poor man's jerky, basically.
Yeah, but they cut it up in those little pieces, and those little.
How big are the pieces then?
Like, dude, the size of your thumbnail.
Okay.
Depending how fat your thumbs
like a
are.
dime.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
Huh.
So it's just ground up pieces of dried meat.
Yeah.
So
and like, by the way, the biltong cutter thing, there's no guards, there's no nothing on it. It's just this sharp blade that spins around inside this housing thing.
Man, that sounds super dangerous.
Dude, it's so dangerous.
Wear like a face shield. Just like,
that's the reason why she only has 3 fingers.
Dude, South Africa's a dangerous place, dude. But it's amazing.
Get some old lady fingernails in your biltong.
Dude, I ate so much biltong while I was there.
Really?
Dude, I ate so much meat while I was there.
Yeah.
Because you got to eat everything you shoot, right?
Yeah.
And so they're like,
and you're not letting anything go to waste.
No, because you can't bring it back. So
Kris
I'm just
is
like,
on the pure protein diet.
dude, I ate
street carnivore diet on that trip.
So let's get down to the gritty. What was the best tasting meat you ate out of all the animals you guys killed there?
Ooh.
Yeah, because you guys had a
Let's make it a little bit more interesting. Top 3.
Top 3.
In order.
Number 3 would be golden wildebeest.
Golden wildebeest. Huh?
Golden wildebeest.
I would imagine that'd be like a grass-fed beef almost.
Yeah.
Or bison,
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah. Very good.
Okay.
Very good. Tender.
So it's a wildebeest. That's
Delicious.
golden.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is just from the stuff that I shot that I ate, right? On this last trip.
That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Number 2 might surprise some people.
Really?
I had a tenderloin out of a hippo.
Ooh.
A hippopotamus, as the kids say.
A
delicious.
Hippopotamus tenderloin.
A hip hop.
I saw the picture. I saw the
Hippopotamus.
picture. That thing was like the size of like
Dude.
a giant, like
Yeah.
ribeyes before they cut them
Dude,
up.
it was like Doug's quad. It was
Yeah.
huge. It was so big. It was that was a tenderloin. Wasn't not a
Yeah.
backstrap. Dude, it was so big.
Oh yeah,
It was
like a 10-pound tenderloin.
dude, it was gigantic.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Oh man, it sounds so good. I'd eat some right now.
Dude. And it was like some of the best grass-fed beef you've ever had.
Really?
Yeah. Like there wasn't
super
like
lean too.
super lean, but like very tender.
Mm-hmm.
There was no like, sometimes you get like a sour taste on some of that stuff, like no sour taste at all. Mild but good flavor, right? Like good flavor, like it wasn't bland.
Mm-hmm.
It was excellent. And the number one by far, this is by far, and I would eat buckets of this shit. And this is without a doubt the best meat I've ever had in South Africa was crocodile.
No kidding.
Dude, I want to eat crocodile all day.
Crocodile.
Every day. Crocodile.
Really?
Dude, 14-foot 2-inch delicious crocodile.
That is insane. Doesn't that surprise you, Doug?
No.
Dude,
Doesn't? It
Have you
surprises
have
me.
you
It's
had-
a freaking giant lizard.
Have you
Dude.
had alligator?
I've had alligator.
I
It's
mean,
all right.
Would you say it was kind of like a mixture of like pork and
it was like pork and chicken.
chicken?
I
That's what
think
was
probably
gonna say.
the way they cooked it was probably.
Yeah.
So I had it two different ways, right? And so here's how most South African meals are done. They have a braai, right? So it's basically just an open barbecue. A braai is an open
Yeah,
barbecue,
which
right?
awesome way to cook stuff.
So they just basically make a fire,
Mm-hmm.
and like this is like at the fancy lodge. Like they have a cook. This lady goes out.
They have like a whole hut
Yeah.
devoted to it, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
in the middle there's this big pit, and she starts the fire like an hour before everyone's just. We're having cocktails, we're hanging out, we're telling stories about how awesome
you
I
gotta
am.
Get
and-
some coals going.
Yeah, I'm Quigley down under. I'm the best shits that's ever happened, and I could shoot it 3-4 miles, and I'm telling lies up the ass, right? And this poor old lady's making coals, and she gets it over, and then they got a grate, and they swing the grate over, and they got the coals going. And I'm like, oh, what are they? And like, that's how they cook everything. Like they have a stove in the house. Don't get me wrong. It's not like, the dark ages there
Yeah.
But,
at the lodge.
But let's be real. If you can cook over a fire,
Dude.
it's gonna be way better.
And we had,
Anything over the fire is better.
What a life, though. Like
dude,
these PHs live. What a
It's-
life.
it's amazing. It really is. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there's pros and cons, right? Like,
Right.
but the pros, like, where we hunted hippo for my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So where I had shot my hippo, my dad shot his hippo were completely different. We had to drive way up to this place, and we go up, and we're right when we pull up. There's a big wall, and it's on the Limpopo River, right? And so there's everything in there. There's hippos, and there's crocodiles, and there's all sorts of dangerous shit, right? And right on the river, Huts River, like literally
Right.
right there. And so we pull up, and this dude walks out, good looking South African guy, bit of a pot belly, and he just looks happy as can be, right? And he walks out, and this little wild looking girl comes out, probably like our daughter's ages, right? Mm-hmm. Probably like 9 years old. Hair, just long, like wild hair, and she comes running out. And if you don't know South Africa, everything's covered in thorns, and what's not covered in thorns is covered in thorns. Everything will poke you and make you bleed and tear and rip, and it's just like you want to go there in like an encased suit of armor and gloves and boots and face shields and everything. I bled. I don't know how much. I left a lot of blood in South Africa. Mm-hmm. She comes out. She's got shorts on. This wild hair. This little short sleeve shirt. No shoes. No socks.
Really?
Ripping around. Dude, I'm talking full tilt like a Peterbilt. Comes running around. Very, like, as far as manners go for kids in the United States, dude, like, I think, I try and make my daughter mind and be well behaved, and she comes out and she's like, stands right by her dad, and just like the perfect little kid, she's ripping around, she's playing, oh shit, clients, comes up, stands next to her dad, quiet, never says a peep, he introduces her, then she says hi, and I was like, man, this kid is just like, but then, so we bring our stuff in, right? And I look around, and this little shit's running down by the river, by the crocodiles and stuff. Obviously, she's knows what she's doing, right? And knows what to look for. Dude, but just like on these jagged, rocky, like no shoes, just having the best time of her life. I would never let my kid do that, right?
Right.
And I'm like, man, I'm a bad parent. Like, this guy's just like,
Just looking down at the river and just like, snap.
yeah, she knows what to look for because her dad's obviously taught her, like, hey,
Yeah.
you look for this, you don't go there, you do this, and otherwise you get you gonna miss, you don't.
Literally everything could.
Well,
kill
Everything
you in
will kill you.
Africa.
Yeah.
There's a lot of danger in Africa.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
dude. So it was it's I tell you, it's a culture shock, bigger and
Yeah.
big. Yeah.
I mean, it's a different world.
Oh.
I mean, you got here. Our biggest worry is like, oh, maybe like 1 in a million chance you get attacked by a mountain lion or something, right?
Right.
Or a bear.
Or black bear. Yeah.
There, it's like, oh, you might get killed by a leopard or a lion,
Mm-hmm.
or you could get hooked by a warthog, or
Yeah.
you could get bit by a poisonous snake, or don't go down by the water. There's crocodiles, and like there's just like an endless plethora of animals that want or can kill you.
Oh, dude.
Hippopotamuses,
So
Elephants,
yeah, elephants.
water buffaloes,
we're
rhinos.
The list goes on.
so
Everything wants.
Everything wants to kill you in
Yeah.
Africa.
it's funny you say that because so at that same place. We leave, right? We just walk from there and we walk the river, and you're walking through, again, all this thick brush, and you're just getting the crap tore out of you. And so we're working the river down, and we're working it down, and we're checking these little pockets. We're looking for like the hippos out in the river. And there's all these like stone deals as we're going down. And I'm like, what the hell are all these things along the river, right? And like, oh, those are dead people. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean dead people?
Like stone monuments.
So they're monuments for all the people that have been killed by hippos there.
Really?
And there was a lot. And a lot of them, they were very old. Like,
Really?
dude, so many people get killed by hippos there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're the number one killer
Yeah.
of people, and like out of like big animals,
And
mammals.
and so where we go down, and they have a bunch of ag fields there. And it's not like here to where you can go to Costco to get some produce, and you buy the salad and you put it in your fridge and you let it go to shit, and then you throw it away because you don't care because you're not going to eat the salad anyways, right? That's non-existent there. Does not exist. So what they grow is they sell and they eat, and that's it. And then everyone who buys it, I mean, it's like if you can afford it, you eat it that second, right? So it's very important for them to so where they're hunting these problem hippos that are getting in the ag fields and eating the food and ruining their livelihood. So we go down by this pump that comes down in the river, this huge pipe, and there's this big pump that hangs down in this big pond in the Limpopo River and pumps the water up to the ag field. And so we start walking down in the not our pH, but the tracker was like, whoa, 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 whoa. And we're like, whoa, what, shit, sorry, like don't, no, back, again, the language barrier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't know, like maybe we were on someone else's ground, or I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
And so he's talking again. He's talking to Afrikaans to our pH, and our pH goes, oh, there was a hippo that was on the edge. We couldn't see, it was just underneath the water here a little bit ago, and jumped out of the water and attacked a guy and killed a guy.
Really?
Yeah. And you're like, what? Like they are in weight? And they're like, no, they're just really ornery.
Yeah.
I don't think they I honestly
You
don't
killed
think.
it in that exact spot?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like where the pump goes in.
Yeah.
They like the sound of the pump or whatever. So they hang out right here. But if they get irritated, they come out. The thing is, like, when I get the skull back, we'll take pictures and we'll post it. It blows my mind just even thinking about it. How big they can open their mouth, and you look at their teeth, and so they just come and they bite you once or twice or three times. That's it. You're dead. Doesn't matter who you are.
I mean, they're giant.
Dude,
Cubs.
huge. It's like
Yeah.
being like stabbed.
Yeah.
Right.
By a very dull
Yeah.
knife.
And they have teeth that come out forward.
Yeah.
And they have teeth that come up too. So when they bite you, they're stabbing you and biting you and puncturing. That's it. Like
You're talking about an 1.5-inch wound
Yeah.
for each tooth, right?
Yeah. And dude, it's like a warthog. So every time they close their mouth, they're sharpening their teeth. Right. And so they're razor sharp.
Yeah.
Like if you like the one that I shot, if you look on Instagram, if you like zoom into that picture on its tooth, like if I took my thumb and like rubbed it like real fast on the edge of its tooth, it would cut my thumb wide open.
Really?
It's that sharp.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's like constantly sharpening.
Mm-hmm.
And,
That's
so
why, like, when people get hooked by wild boars and stuff, their tusks.
Oh yeah.
They're like super sharp inside their mouths, and then they just get like a little hook, and then they're all of a sudden you just see their
blood just pouring out,
and you're like, oh my gosh.
I saw a video that. Did you see the lady that was sitting there?
Yeah, with the warthog.
Yeah, and the warthog just
And
came
she's like trying to
pet it.
And then it just goes and hooks her just like slightly, and then it's just
blood
like
just pouring
like,
out.
Oh my gosh, lady, we put some pressure on that. Like,
dude,
you're bleeding out, and you're just like looking at the ground.
They're wild animals.
Yeah, yeah, and all it takes is just one little movement, you know.
I'm not gonna lie, I really like it. I really like watching the ones where like the people try and go like pet like the bison out, like Yellowstone,
like the Yellowstone ones. Yeah.
I don't want them to die, but I want them to get hurt a little bit, you know, to be like
hurt enough to know not to
Yeah.
ever do that again. Yeah.
Hey, remember that time I lost like 3 feet of my lower intestine because I tried to pet a bison in Yellowstone? Yeah.
What is wrong with people?
The internet.
Oh, dude, like I've seen quite a few of them lately.
That
where-
and like moose.
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
Or like people messing with black bears.
I saw a video of this dude. He was riding his bicycle down a trail, and this moose just like came out of nowhere and fucking
Really?
like pushed the guy off the biking trail.
Did you
Dude.
see that? There was one the other day. Some guy that was like, he came up on a black bear, and he's just like walking up to it and like, no, like trying to get it to leave, and like trying to like slap it on the nose. Some giant, like 400-pound black bear.
What?
Yeah, some stupid guy, and he's just like, and then the bear swats the shit out of him.
Really?
And he's just like, and his wife's yelling at him like, you idiot! Like, and I'm like, gosh, that was the worst part of it. But like, that bear easily could have just jumped on that guy and just killed him, like in a second.
So many
But people are just so dumb. Like, they just have this
They're
false reality of like what danger is.
they're wild animals.
Yeah.
Disneyfication.
Oh,
Disneyfication
nice, Doug.
of wildlife. Watch A Bear Hunter's Life on our YouTube
Yeah.
channel.
Thanks, Robbie.
Yeah.
Gave us a great word.
Yeah. The Disneyfication.
You
which is
handsome bastard. You big, beautiful South African handsome bastard, you.
He was offended the first time I met him. I thought I said, "Are you Australian?" And he's like, "I am not Australian." He was so offended. I was like, "I don't know. I can't tell the accent. Are you from New Zealand? Are you from South Africa?
Where
are you
the
from
fuck are
Australia?
you from?"
I don't know. I'm so sorry.
I'd been to Africa. I knew where he was from. And
I know you ain't the French.
We had just an instant love connection. Hunter's just two tall, beautiful heterosexual men. Yeah,
Kris always pushes it too far,
dude. Every time.
With Robbie.
Every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, even on the Zoom where he's sitting there with his family, I'm like, God, you look good, Rob. You working out? Like, he's like, well, my family's here. I gotta go. Like, well, my family's here too. I gotta go.
Oh boy.
You handsome bastard.
One of these days I'll meet the guy.
Yeah.
Hey, it's good, dude.
He's gonna come up one of these days, do the podcast with us.
Yeah, that'd be great.
God, he's been running full tilt
We're
at
talking.
Peterbilt too.
We got. Listen, it's kind of like a blessing and a curse, right? Like, we all got a lot of irons in the fire.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of different things we're dipping into, and we wish that we could do it all, but we can't.
Because we all have significant others that will divorce us and take half our shit if we keep this up. So.
Yeah.
Keep this up. We're gonna keep it up anyway.
Kris just went to the darkest part of it, but
Yeah.
Well,
you
and
guys
also,
saw
like,
what I just got. I don't want to lose that.
you
okay?
can only do so much, you know.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do everything
No, I wish I could. I really wanted to go to
unless you're Randy Newberg, and then you just go to all the sports shows and travel everywhere. And
I don't have that big a stick
Yeah.
to swing, dude. I don't got that much weight.
yeah,
That Hunt Expo would have been sweet.
they would wear you out though.
I don't know if we're that educational.
As Randy is. No,
Yeah.
absolutely not.
Well, if I don't have 13 Coors Lights for it, I put a microphone in front of my face, I'd probably do a little better. But
Yeah, well, we
I
all
don't think so.
We all would.
let's be fair. I'm from Marysville.
I'd probably be more boring if I didn't have anything.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's not a lot behind that.
Yeah, we got this is a little different than the way that most people do the podcast.
I went to
It's
Central
more
Washington
entertainment
University.
than educational, I guess I would
That's
say.
for sure. We try to mix it up though.
Yeah.
We try to keep it a little bit 50-50,
Yeah.
a little bit of education, a little bit of fun.
Yeah,
So
that's the Randy Newberg way.
That's just how we roll.
yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
he said 50% education.
Yep.
I saw it on his whiteboard.
I saw his whiteboard.
Yeah,
He had a whiteboard.
he did have a whiteboard.
Yep. We don't have a whiteboard.
We talked about it. Every time we mess up a
Whiteboard.
podcast, we're like, we should get a whiteboard to put these notes down there. I'm like, that's a good idea. We should do that. And then I'm like, oh, Coors Light.
Cruise light. Boop, boop, boop.
It's too funny.
We're doing great, guys.
We have a good old time.
Yeah.
Well,
And it's too much fun, you know?
yeah, we've been going a while, Doug.
So, well, I guess we'll, on that note, we'll wrap it up. We'd like to thank our sponsors because we don't give them enough credit sometimes.
That's true.
We
Caribou
do.
Gear,
Yep, Caribou Gear, Loophole,
MDT, chassis.
Yeah. Got some
Montana Knife Company.
killer rifle builds.
Yep.
With all kinds of different stuff put together.
Timmy Triggers,
Benchmark Barrels.
Benchmark Bros, American Rifle.
American Rifle
Actions.
Co. Let's not forget them. They make
You.
the best actions you can buy.
You.
Looking forward to those short action builds.
That's going
Yep.
to be legit.
Well, let's get this first series out first.
Yeah,
and
we'll
then
get the first one out.
We'll
and then,
move on.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, guys, we'll stay humble and hunt hard.